Title Update 4 is here, and with Velkhana being the returning Elder Dragon featured in the update, that leaves but one question.
Who will be the final monster? There are many monsters that Capcom could go with, but I say there's but one obvious answer. One that Capcom has hidden in plain sight right under our noses this whole time. And that monster is none other than Amatsu.
There is so much evidence that points to Amatsu, so let's start off with the facts. Look at the elemental distribution of Sunbreak's monsters based on their primary element. We have high-tier fire monsters, thunder monsters, ice monsters, dragon monsters. But where are the high-tier water monsters? Mizitsune and Almudron are the strongest water monsters in the game right now.
And they are nothing compared to the other actual high-tier monsters like the ones that we have gotten through title updates. And speaking of title updates, haven't you noticed there's a suspiciously large amount of fire monsters that we have gotten? Well, guess what? One of Amatsu's primary weaknesses just so happens to be fire. Awfully suspicious, wouldn't you say? Oh, but get this. It just so happens that the only element that we are missing amongst the Elder Dragons of Sunbreak is water. We have plenty of Dragon Elders, a couple Ice and Fire Elders, and then we have Narwa for Thunder.
Speaking of Narwa, that brings up yet another interesting point.
Oh, indeed it does. As we know, Amatsu is a serpent just like Narwa and Ibushi, but this similarity does not carry enough weight on its own. But if we take a look at how Capcom has handled the design process in the past, Amatsu makes a whole lot more sense. It's no surprise that Capcom has reused various assets when it comes to Monster Hunter games in the past to expedite the development process. Knowing this, it makes Amatsu a much more probable candidate. I would like to present to you this cutscene of Amatsu. Pay close attention to how it moves. Look familiar? It should, because it is strikingly similar to the movements we see from Ibushi when we first start playing Rise. And if we play them side by side, they're near identical.
This gives Capcom a general foundation to work with, which would save them a considerable amount of time, effort, and money in designing Amatsu. This allows them to focus on refining the quality of Amatsu's fight to make it the sacred pinnacle of what Sunbreak's combat has to offer.
Sacred pinnacle, you say?
Yes, which actually leads me to our next point. The numerous parallels that exist between Rise and Portable Third. These two games share an interesting geographical correlation, the Flooded Forest. Now, for many of us in the West, the remade version of the Flooded Forest in Rise probably felt very weird since it heavily altered the underwater portions of the map that we were so familiar with from Tri and 3 Ultimate. However, consider this. Rise's Flooded Forest isn't based off of the forest that we see in Tri and 3 Ultimate. It's based on the version that we see in Portable Third. This version of the Flooded Forest also lacked underwater rooms, and bears a striking resemblance to the version of the Flooded Forest that we see in Rise. It's a strong connection between Rise and Portable Third, and the parallels that hint at Amatsu run even deeper.
Indeed they do, Frost, because Capcom has seemingly made numerous parallels in Rise that lead back to Yakumo Village, which have strong ties to none other than Amatsu. If we take a look at the Komura village, it takes on a heavily Japanese-inspired theme, much similar in fashion to the likes of Yakumo, the main village of Portable Third. But it doesn't just end there. Taking a closer look, we can observe that the alphabet system used in Komura appears to be the same exact one used in Yakumo village. All of these observations greatly suggest one thing: that Komura and Yakumo are within close geographical proximity, and by extent, the sacred pinnacle, where we fight Amatsu.
This even makes sense in a narrative standpoint. Hear me out. In Rise, we had to rise up as a hunter to protect Komura from Magnamalo and the Rampage. After we saved the village in Rise, Sunbreak had us leave our home to go and defend Elgato Outpost. Now, after many adventures have ensued, the end draws near, and for our final challenge, we must return back to where our journey began, protecting Komura from a serious threat, The story of Rise and Sunbreak would come full circle and end where it began, serving as the perfect send-off as the final title update of Sunbreak.
And speaking of the word Sunbreak, we have one last piece of evidence, and one that provides such beautiful symbolism that it feels almost intentional. And that is the connection between Amatsu and the title of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak itself. For any of you brave hunters who have managed to slay this majestic serpent, you are likely to remember one specific detail. For once you slay Amatsu, you have a true sight to behold. The storm clouds, once raging during battle, begin to disappear. Rays start to shine down a brilliant light upon the landscape, revealing the true beauty behind the beast as the sun breaks through the clouds. It is this moment right here that everything becomes clear. Sunbreak isn't just the title of the game, it's a reference to Amatsu that has been hidden in plain sight all along. It has been in front of us the whole time.
The need for a powerful water monster, Amatsu's link between Nara and Ibushi, the parallels between Rise and Kimura to Portable Third and Yakumo, Amatsu's fitting place in Sunbreak's narrative, and its symbolism to the title.
This is no mere coincidence. This is evidence. Evidence that Amatsu is inevitable.